chosen.
I have incredibly good judgment. One, I married Jill. And two, I appointed Johnson to the Academy. I just want you to know that. Let's clap for that, you stupid bastard. Must be slow here, man. Oh.
Hello, truth seekers, those in search of the light, away from the darkness. I have a somewhat unexpected update for you concerning Scytl. About 1 week ago, this footage started to surface which purports to show the actual Scytl raid of the servers in Frankfurt, Germany. At least that's how this video is labeled. You see some type of firefight going on with ballistics firing into an area of conflagration. There isn't a lot of other scenes to help paint a picture of where we are. I requested some proof that this raid did in fact occur, at least according to that footage. I wasn't given any additional contextual information for the footage, but I was shown this link. This is a link to the Georgia State House hearing which occurred on December 10th. There was a very interesting section of this hearing where they talked about the alleged Scytl raid in Germany. A very surprising topic to appear for this particular hearing on election integrity. Just from this summary of findings page, the only thing that popped out as being very interesting is this statement that there was a 2002 HAVA Act which changed how counties run their elections. This slide is presented by Russ Ramsland. Ramsland is an election expert. Can no longer say the whole thing on YouTube, unfortunately. Here's his profile. Let us hear what he has to say on his network tracing of votes through Scytl. Timestamp 2 hours, 13 minutes, 44 seconds.
For instance, how we traced that Scytl actually had servers in Frankfurt right up until the raid about 2 weeks ago. You can take a tool called NSLookup and look that up, and it will tell you that this is its IP address. And 5.2 right away is set up for Germany, but in this day, it could also have been migrated elsewhere. So at that point, we do what's called a an NSLookup, and sure enough, it says, no, it is over in the EU. We can do what's called a GeoIP lookup, and that will tell you that it's in Frankfurt. So the kind of tools that Spider talks about are very well known. They're what's called white hat tools, and those are guys that are computer specialists. You might call them hackers, although that's sort of a pejorative term, except white hat hackers are guys that obey the laws and the rules. And so all of our research was done using white hat hacker techniques. And these are just other tools that you can use to pin it down. For instance, this tells you that it's also in the Amazon cloud, as I talked about in my last one. A lot of people don't understand that they actually are connected to Clarity Elections. If you're on ES&S or Dominion, the people in Kentucky didn't. We went out there to meet with them, and the first thing we told them is look on your Kentucky State Board of Elections website, click on your unofficial votes. And they said, okay, fine, we're on Kentucky State Board of Elections. I said, no, you're not. Look up here. This is really where you are. You're at Clarity Elections. And that Clarity Elections server at the time was in Frankfurt, Germany. That's where the votes ultimately were being held, and you can change them at that level and backload them all the way back into counties in Kentucky, or in your case, Georgia.
All right, and so went to American Thinker, just to make sure we're all on the same page. Some key terms which came from that presentation is the implication of the Amazon Cloud Service being involved with this operation, as well as the term Clarity Elections. From this particular article, in 2012, Scytl acquired all assets of SOE Software, which was then America's largest voting machines and software vendor. Scytl also acquired the trade name Clarity Elections and rebranded its American operations as Clarity with a data process domain at ClarityElections.com. Right now I'm on the Commonwealth of Kentucky State Board of Elections website. Here is a section for election results. Now you can see the website URL, elect.ky.gov. I'm going to go ahead and click through for election results and look how the URL changes. and then changes to results.enr.clarityelections.com. So you should now be able to see fully what is being contended here. Scytl is Clarity, Scytl is in Germany, Clarity controls the State Board of Elections results page in the website, Amazon's cloud service is involved. It pretty much all makes sense. This is a very small portion of this presentation. The presentation itself a small portion of an 8-hour hearing. So now, switching gears, looking at our current political controversy as a potential opportunity for military intervention, we have to ask, what is the timeline for which we should expect that type of intervention? Here, 4-star General Gustav Perna supplies some possible D-Day comms, which he is relating an analogy to vaccine distribution. The real D-Day invasion of U.S. troops into Normandy occurred on June 6, 1944. Now let's listen to General Perna's comms.
D-Day was a pivotal turning point in World War II. It was the beginning of the end. D-Day was the beginning of the end, and that's where we are today.
And that's where we are today with regards to distribution of the vaccines. But could he be referring to something else? Now let's look at the president's potential comms concerning vaccine administration. The president put out a short video just after the Supreme Court case concerning Texas, its lawsuit against the battleground states for their unfair practices. That lawsuit was thrown out by the Supremes due to an alleged lack of standing. So does President communicate to us in comms as a way to reassure patriots of what's coming? This particular video rendition put up by Lord Stephen Christ Concave Earth has the president at a higher pitch speaking more quickly, but you can definitely pick up the message.
I have really good news. Today our nation has achieved a medical miracle. We have delivered a safe and effective vaccine in just 9 months. This is one of the greatest scientific accomplishments in history. It will save millions of lives and soon end the pandemic once and for all. I am thrilled to report that the FDA has authorized the Pfizer vaccine. We have given Pfizer and other companies a great deal.
Many have picked up on the fact that President Trump says Pfizer at least twice in a row. When you flub a specific word, in this case pronouncing Pfizer as Pfizer, usually that mistake would only occur once. When made twice in a row in succession, usually it's deliberate.
Deal of money, hoping this would be the outcome, and it was. On behalf of the American people, I'd like to thank all of the brilliant scientists, technicians, doctors, and workers who made this all possible. Pfizer and Moderna have announced their vaccine is approximately 95% effective.
And this references a post from our friend in the past where he stated that about 4 to 6% of people will never be able to learn the truth, meaning that they'll never be happy if there was a patriotic revolution to save the country from the DS. And here's that particular post referencing that.
Far exceeding expectations. These vaccines are also very safe. American citizens participated in clinical trials that were far larger than normal and had no serious side effects. The dedicated and independent experts.
And so there, the comms were, despite what's going to happen with military intervention, you will be safe and there will be few casualties.
The FDA meticulously studied the results of the trials, and it has now passed the gold standard of safety. Through Operation Warp Speed, my administration provided a total of $14 billion to accelerate vaccine development.
And just briefly, gold standard is the implication that we will go back onto the gold standard financially.
And to manufacture all of the top candidates in advance. This included a nearly $2 billion investment in Pfizer to produce 100 million doses of their vaccine, with an option to produce 500 million additional doses. And I'm proud to say that we have made sure that this.
And you saw Georgia Guidestones. I'll tell you what that's referring to. This fancy monolithic structure in Alberton, Georgia, has words inscribed in a manner similar to the Ten Commandments. One of the phrases is maintain humanity under 500 million in perpetual balance with nature. So Trump referencing 500 million may be a tease stating that the vaccines are safe and will not be able to achieve DS goals, reducing the population to 500 million. as was originally planned.
Vaccine will be free for all Americans. Through our partnership with FedEx and UPS, we have already begun shipping the vaccine to every state and zip code in the country.
And there is the implication that American troops will be sent to every zip code in the country to ensure stability and order.
The first vaccine will be administered in less than 24 hours. The governors decide where the vaccines will go in their state and who will get them first. We want our senior citizens' health
Of note, first vaccines are slated to be administered on Monday.
care workers and first responders to be first in line. This will quickly and dramatically reduce deaths and hospitalizations. When the China virus invaded our shores, I promised that we would produce a vaccine in record time before...
Okay, in this portion, references that China virus equals Chinese infiltration into the country.
For the end of the year. They said it couldn't be done, but with today's announcement, we have now achieved that goal. The United States is the first nation in the world to produce a verifiably safe and effective vaccine. Today's achievement is a reminder of America's unlimited potential when we have the will and the courage to pursue ambitious goals. As I've said from the beginning, a vaccine will vanquish the virus and return life back to normal. The pandemic may have begun in China, but we are ending it right here in America. Operation Warp Speed is the greatest medical manufacturing endeavor in American history. We are deeply grateful to every person who has worked round the clock on this monumental national project to save lives. Thank you all for your tremendous gifts to humanity. God bless you, God bless the United States of America, and God bless the world.
So the comms suspected by this individual for this particular video suggest a rather short, contracted timeline where the major events happen within the next week. Any additional surprises should we expect in this finale? So on the military Pfizer vaccine theme, there is this post by Greg Anderson, which I found very interesting. So Trump orders a substantial amount of the Pfizer vaccine, but turned down Pfizer's offers to purchase a second batch. The first 44,000 vaccines will be sent to military bases around the country. The military will do a final purity check before distribution. Then the white hats don't have the doctors they want in there to do the testing. The military gets the evidence, has proof of the attempt to off U.S. soldiers and citizens. The scientists can now be considered enemy combatants at that point. Mass roundup of all pharma scientists, the FDA, and anyone involved in the plot will occur. Treason at the highest levels. All collaborators will be under military jurisdiction. Quantum computing allows the white hats to peer into the future, so they already know what moves they need to make to reach checkmate. It would be impossible for them to lose because all future probabilities and results have been taken into account. Game over. How long ago did the head of Pfizer dump a bunch of shares into his own company? Does he know he needs a bunch of lawyers to save his life? We have it all. Well played, Mr. President. Let the popcorn flow. God bless America. So yes, this particular post, posted by President-elect 1776 Patriot, also fits into the more urgent, short 1 week time frame of significant change. In counterposition, we have some longer time frame predictions. This individual, John, claims to be a candidate for U.S. Senate in Maryland for the year 2022. In this letter, John claims to have contacts who notified him that the DS believes that they had won. It matters not if Trump gets reelected because the goal is division in the country. So long as the process is drawn out and excruciating, the anger and resentment between the two political factions will grow. One of the goals is to get Justice Barrett to recuse herself, which will greatly frustrate the right. The longer the controversy can be drawn out, the better for the DS. Vijay Jyotish has an interesting thread where this individual attempts to show how astrological influences may predict the events concerning Trump's ascendancy back to the presidency for 2021. We'll just go through this thread. With the help of Lord Ganesha, here's my humble astrological analysis of events that are likely to lead to the victory of President Trump in elections 2020. December 10th to January 3rd. Venus enters Scorpio and will stay there until January 3rd. This denotes the final phase of the art of war, deception, where political masterstrokes will play out in secret favoring President Trump. I go to the Astro theme website to try to demonstrate Venus's progression, and I get something a little confusing. Here you see Venus appears to be in Sagittarius, not Scorpio. And this is where the inputted date of December 19th. It's important to note, however, this is the Western astrology chart. Now we're looking at a sidereal astrological chart. This is a chart commonly used by Indians. Many of the signs are moved back approximately a month compared to the Western astrology charts, so for this sidereal chart, Venus is in Scorpio. The Sun and Ketu will have an exact conjunction on December 11th at 25 degrees Scorpio, and then there's also the total solar eclipse on December 14th. We will see a crisis of confidence fueled by the belief that even SCOTUS might not give the President Trump timely relief he needs. With this particular tweet, it's important to note that it was made at 11:22 on December 11th, and this particular time was before the Supreme Court rendered their verdict on the Texas case. That demonstrates that this person's prediction would appear to be correct. This is Pacific Standard Time. At approximately 3:40, that's when I was notified about the SCOTUS decision. Despite the strong case brought by the state of Texas and President Trump joining the case with a number of other states, I would not expect any emergency adjunctive relief from SCOTUS. They will agree to hear, but it will take their time. This is to ensure that when their judgment comes, it has a solid, unquestionable constitutional backing. And yes, as a result, the electors will meet on December 14th and vote. The MSM will claim it is for Vice President Biden. Okay, so this is one prediction which will come up in just a few days, on December 14th, that Biden will prevail with the Electoral College vote Monday, and MSM will proclaim it. December 14th, we have a total solar eclipse along with Mercury Ketu exact conjunction at 25 degrees in Scorpio. I would expect significant censorship action against the President Trump on this day. The meeting, voting of electors, and claiming finality of outcome is likely to be used as the reason for it. It is quite possible that the president's TW account might face some restrictions or even temporary suspension. Maybe YouTube, Facebook would also censor something. And let me tell you, that has already begun. This poster says the 2 new Trump ads were posted on YouTube, then censored also. It's difficult to appreciate what is going on here, but there is Mercury about this spot with the mythical solar body, also known as Ketu, basically perfectly aligned on the 14th of December. The meeting, voting of electors, and claimed finality of outcome is likely to be used as the reason for it. It's quite possible that the president's TW account might face some serious restrictions to be even temporarily suspended. Maybe YouTube, Facebook would also censor something. I don't know, but censorship of some form of communication is certain. This will set in motion a path needed for removing Section 230. December 14th through the 17th, Sun and Mercury are transiting over Sagittarius. This will appear to be a difficult time for President Trump. You will see more events of suppression and in communication and misinformation and MSM, all designed to appear as it is all over for President Trump. Here are the dates set to December 16th, and you see Mercury and the Sun just now transiting into Sagittarius. December 18th to 20th, Sun and Mercury will be closely conjunct in Sagittarius. You should finally see significant action at SCOTUS with judges and lawyers at the focus. December 21st, the great exact conjunction of Saturn and Jupiter at roughly 6 degrees in Capricorn. The first major relief favoring Trump will be announced by SCOTUS. This will not be the final decision, but a step in the right direction. So here we have Jupiter and Saturn conjunct, pretty much close proximity to each other in Capricorn on the date December 21st. Jupiter and Saturn are aligned from the perspective of Earth, where Jupiter is in between Saturn and the Earth. December 22nd to 26th, Mars is transiting over from Pisces to Aries. This is a time of caution. You can see not so peaceful reaction and a consequent federal military response to turn of events. I would urge everyone to stay home and enjoy the holidays. Mars is like the glyph representing war and conflict, and by transiting from Pisces to Aries, it's going into a sign symbolized by potential for conflict. This is not a time for public marches or celebratory events. Such events will see not so peaceful outcome. December 27th, Mars is out of its difficult transit, and you'll see the first clear sign that the endgame is near and that President Trump victory appears more certain. Here's a glyph for Mars as it moves more firmly into Aries on the 27th of December. And here you see the fast planet Mercury is leaving way ahead of the Sun. December 30th, full moon in Gemini, major victory likely at SCOTUS. Supporters of President Trump will be happy. December 31st, Venus and Ketu will conjunct at exactly 24 degrees Scorpio. Again, not a day to be out celebrating and partying into the new year. Peace and harmony will be affected. Women, Venus should take abundant caution and avoid public events. Better to end the year with a warm personal celebration at home with family. January 1st to 5th, final judgment from SCOTUS. January 6th to 13th, President Trump will be announced as the next president of the USA. So you see a number of predictions here. So we have to wait all the way to the time period between the 6th to the 13th to see President Trump possibly, presumably, prevail. And that is according to this method of predictive astrology. Sidereal astrology has always been used for making predictions of various sorts. Although I'm not yet quite confident in the predictive power of astrology, I do feel that this particular timeline is probable, assuming that Trump does end up prevailing. It seems probable to me that this next week is likely going to be very bad for Trump. Well, until next time, continue to be as wise as serpents, but as chill as cucumbers. Peace.